All right, welcome friends, and we are hitting the ground running. We have Ambassador Ashok Sajjanhar joining us. Very good morning to you, sir. And you have seen the optics of last evening when Prime Minister broke the protocol and received President Putin at the airport. A ceremonial welcome was given there also. Now, of course, with full trappings of state visit, we're going to see even a bigger ceremonial welcome at the Rashtrapati Bhavan forecourts in a while from now. How do you see the day panning out, sir?
Thank you very much for having me on the show. Well, it's a very important visit, and as you mentioned, is the first time that President Putin is coming to India after the Russia-Ukraine conflict started in February of 2022. And there is great bonhomie between the two leaders, between Prime Minister Modi and President Putin. That is, you saw on display. But in addition to that, or even more than that, the relationship between the two countries is very old, very historic. I'll call it even civilizational because, whether it is spirituality or, it really goes back. It's not only limited to just after the independence of India. Before that, Mahatma Gandhi, Leo Tolstoy, there was great interaction between the two. But in more contemporary context, this annual summit partnership, it started in 2000 and today is the 23rd. That means the two leaders from the two countries have been meeting in each other's countries literally every year. It was only in 22 and 23 because Mr. Putin was occupied with the conflict with Ukraine that he couldn't travel. But otherwise, the leaders have been meeting. Prime Minister Modi went to Moscow last year in June. He went there for the 22nd annual summit. He went there again for the BRICS summit in Kazan in October last year, and that these are very important, significant visits. Before that, they had also met on the sidelines of the SEO summit in Samarkand in September 22. So this is a very strong partnership, both between the leaders and, of course, between the countries. And the demonstration that we can see from the visit of President Putin is that India has demonstrated fully that it will take its own decisions in foreign policy choices, depending upon its interests, and it will not be pressurized by any country as the United States has been trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that point, Ambassador, one follow-up question, after
Yes,
the meeting that took place between Prime Minister and President Putin on the sidelines of the SCO summit in Tianjin, we had President Putin mention something to the effect that the manner in which the United States is conducting itself vis-a-vis India has an element of condescension and has an element of coercion, and no sovereign state can accept that. So I think that communication obviously would have happened between the two leaders, putting in context what's been really happening even as India tries to balance between the West and Russia.
No, you are absolutely right. Absolutely right. And I think in some context, it has also been mentioned that the United States and the West are, still in their mode of, the colonial framework, that they treat the countries as colonies. But India is a large country. India is a powerful country. India is a growing country. It's a leading country in the world. So it is not going to be pressurized by any of these threats. And in fact, we owe it to Mr. Trump, the fact that he has imposed this 50% tariffs on India. That has really brought India and Russia closer together. For your, thousands of viewers who must be watching this program, I want to bring it to their attention that it's not the first time that Mr. Putin is visiting India. He has, during the term of Prime Minister Modi, he's been here already 4 times. During those times, Prime Minister Modi did not go to the airport to receive him. This is in the changed global context that Prime Minister Modi has taken the decision to go to the airport. This is, he breaks protocol for very seldom, not often at all. There are just a few cases, you can count them on your fingertips, when he has gone to receive foreign leaders at the airport who are visiting India. And he has made this exception for President Putin now, after 4 or 5 visits that Mr. Putin has made earlier in 2020, 2019, before that 2016, before that. So this is in the changed context of the geopolitical architecture, political security strategic architecture, that this bonhomie between the two countries has got further impetus and further boost.
Yeah, absolutely. And as the day is going to pan out, we are looking at President getting the ceremonial welcome at the forecourts of Rashtrapati Bhavan at around 11 a.m. From there, he goes to Rajghat to pay his respects to the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi. From Rajghat, he comes to Hyderabad House, which is the place where delegation talks happen. There is a restricted format talk between the two sides, and then full delegation talks. They're going to go on for at least a couple of hours, because I see from the skeds and the itinerary shared by the Ministry of External Affairs that from about 12 noon to about 2 p.m., the two leaders and the delegations with them are going to be closeted at the Hyderabad House, following which there is going to be joint statement, a release of joint statement and a joint address by both the leaders, following which both are going to make an appearance at a business summit or business forum at Bharat Mandapam. President Putin is going to later, start the operations of or inaugurate the operations of Russia Today TV. That's later in the evening, from where he goes to the Rashtrapati Bhavan, has a call on with President Draupadi Murmu, following which there is a state banquet. And then, of course, the Russian president flies out. Ambassador Sajjanhar, you have had postings in Central Asia. You've had postings in other parts of the world. Do you get a sense that this is not just about India and Russia? This diplomatic powwow in Delhi is being closely watched around the world?
No, absolutely, you're very right. I have had, as you said very rightly, tenures in Central Asia. I was ambassador to Kazakhstan, but I've also had 2 tenures in Moscow, both when it was the capital of the Soviet Union in the 1980s. When the changeover there was taking place from President Brezhnev, and I was again there when President Putin took over as the president of the Russian Federation in the late 90s and early 2000s. So I watched Russia very closely, from very close quarters. I continue to visit Russia quite often. You're very right. This is a visit that is not important only in the bilateral context. And that is what I tried to suggest in my initial opening remarks, that it is in the context of the changing global architecture, both geoeconomic and geostrategic, geopolitical architecture, that this visit is very significant. That the relationship between India and Russia, the strengthening relationship between India and Russia, is going to have a very strong impact on whatever type of political order, political architecture that emerges. And it is going to be watched very carefully in Washington. It is being watched very carefully in Beijing, because you would recall, Sean, that Russia has offered what it calls the no-limit partnership. You would remember that this phrase of a no-limit partnership was used by China and Russia in early February 22, which means, even sky is not the limit for their partnership. Now, Russia has proposed a similar sort of relationship to India. India will, of course, have to look very closely, because, for China, it was easy. China has adversarial and hostile relations with the West. India, on the contrary, has very strong, vibrant, dynamic relations with the West, both with America and with Europe, notwithstanding the current hiccups and wrinkles on our partnership. But I think there is a strategic congruence as far as the interests of both sides are concerned, and we'll really have to see as to how we can bring these relations on track. But relations between India and Europe, of course, are strong. We are even talking about having the visit of the President of the European Commission, that is Ursula von der Leyen, as the chief guest at our National Day reception next month. So I think there it is strong. So it's a different configuration, Russia, China, and Russia, India. India exercises strategic autonomy, and that is what it has displayed. That our foreign policy, our relations
Yeah.
with other countries are going to be decided by ourselves, and no other country will have a role to play in that.
Absolutely, Ambassador. In fact, through the day, we are going to have conversations on all these dynamics, the India-Russia summit as it pans out, what consequences it's going to have, or what effect it's going to have on the other dynamics at play in the geopolitics of the day, vis-a-vis China, vis-a-vis Europe, vis-a-vis larger West, the transatlantic alliance, and of course, the United States, the elephant in the room, so to say, in the present context. Ambassador, stay with us. We are continuing this rolling coverage. We are building up to all the optics that are going to pan out over the next few hours.